Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greetings from Pakistan. This is Gohar Pirzada, and I'm going to discuss my paper with you today, titled Exploring the Perspectives of Vocational Educators on Inclusive Education Policies, Structure, System, and Practices. 92 governments and 25 international organizations gathered in the year 1994 in Spain to reaffirm their commitment to education for all. The term inclusive education refers to the methods of teaching that has its primary objective of providing a fair and easy access to all the students with equal opportunities. This research will help acquire a better understanding of the opportunities and difficulties presented by implementing inclusive education in Pakistan's vocational education sector. The framework developed by Echita and ENSCO in one of their research basically was found very suitable for my research as well because it focuses comprehensively on the four areas including concept, policy, structure and system, and practices about inclusive education. This research study had four research objectives, which were to explore the perspectives of vocational educators about the concept of inclusive education, exploring their perspectives about the current policies of IE, inclusive education, their perspectives about the structure and system of IE, and their perspectives about the current practices of IE. In the literature, a lot of researchers they brought us known inclusive education as one in which all students are encouraged to participate in the learning process, and a lot of other researchers have found inclusive education more suitable for students who are physically challenged, which was surprising because in the research I didn't find number one a lot of research on inclusive education in the South Asian context, specifically the Pakistan's vocational sector, and two, it only related with education only for special children. A lot of the researchers that I've quoted as well, they consider the physical architecture of schools that need to be created to meet many requirements that students with impairment or other physical challenges would have. According to some of the researchers, Swain, French, and Cameron, they believe vocational educators have more responsibility to cultivate a learning environment which needs to be secure and encouraging for all the students. The changes that need to be made to education in general and the educational institutions themselves for them to respond to a diversity in a manner that is both equitable and of high quality was also quoted by researchers. The Delphi technique is a very well known research methodology for gathering expert opinions and predictions on a specific topic. I found the technique to be very useful and very relevant to my research study because number one, it had limited knowledge. Participants had not great knowledge of all the areas of inclusive education. And secondly, there was this uncertainty about the topic that existed. Thirdly, my research was all qualitative in nature, so it goes very well with the idea when you are asking people to give their thoughts and their opinions and perspectives. We had three sessions. The brainstorming session, the only challenge I found about Delphi technique was that it took a lot of time for people to listen and discuss and agreeing on something specific. So it took like three sessions, uh, long day, full day sessions. And we used 12 pictures, 12 photographs, which was interesting and made the whole concept very creative as well. We took pictures that depict every aspect of inclusive education and the type of the kind of students who experience or practice that. I've just chosen a few of the pictures here to show it to you, and you could see they're pictures relating to a situation where somebody is totally unsocialized, is not gelled up with other remaining students, or students who are having physical challenges while using the facilities in the school. Then you could see a transgender student who's being bullied by other students, or in the black and white picture that you have, you could see somebody who doesn't has the smartphone and remaining students have it, or the varied knowledge level of students in understanding and picking up the teacher is suggesting. So all this picture was used in the Delphi technique in the three rounds of discussions, and then the results were the first one, which relate with the first objective of the research study, was about their perspectives on inclusive education. We found that vocational educators were partially aware of the concept of inclusive education and they understood what it means. But a lot of the participants actually confined their understanding of vocational education and inclusive education only with the idea of special education once again. Some believe that inclusive education could lead to better outcomes for all students, not just those with special needs. The second part was the current policies of inclusive education. As such, it was interesting because the Delphi technique helped us not just getting data from the participants, but also disseminating something new to them and sharing the knowledge part with them. So in the second round of discussion, we found that those participants who were not very sure about the concept of inclusive education before were now speaking out, and they were now relating it with the kind of diversified students that we have in our institute, and what needs to be done, what current policies exist, and what is required as per today, which was very interesting. So a lot of socially agreed behaviors need to be documented to qualify as institutional policy. That was the outcome of it, because usually in the policies we only would take very black and white things and situations, but the social issues and the behaviors, the issues relate to the problems and behaviors that students face, was not part of it. The third one was about structure and system of inclusive education. It was highly suggested by participants later in the Delphi technique things that at institutional level, there needs a very clear commitment, a very serious commitment to build up the facilities of the school, which goes according to the needs of students, especially who are specially educated, specially needed, and they have the special needs, and other students who were like transgenders or minorities in generally or typically or facing problems. Appropriate structural adjustments for physically challenged students were obviously highlighted. The fourth one was the current practices for inclusive education. And in the practices part as well, we see the majority of the vocational educators recognized the importance of IE practices and believed that they had the potential to improve not just the students but the institute and management as well. The more practices that we have, and the more things that we see as important and nuclear to the whole idea, would actually gain a win-win situation for the students and for the institute. Findings revealed that vocational educators had varied degree of knowledge and understanding of the concept of inclusive education, which later actually got quite improved. The study also found that vocational educators had mixed perspectives about IE, its policies, and the importance of a direction from the government was highly encouraged by the participants as well. They believe that the governments and the governing agencies, they need to have a system where they make sure that inclusive education exists and is practiced everywhere in the vocational sector in Pakistan. There were lesser knowledge of other areas, but more knowledge for the physically challenged students. And the study found that vocational educators faced several challenges in implementing the current policies. And again, the idea was that a professional development opportunities need to be given to the teachers. Just like this very 3 days Delphi technique actually helped them getting new things and practicing new things. So they believed more professional development should be provided, opportunities should be provided to vocational education teachers. In the recommendations part, we believe adequate training and professional development opportunities we just mentioned should be given to teachers. Policymakers in Pakistan review and upgrade the policies, and the direction needs to come from the government, whether federal or provincial or various government departments who are in touch with vocational educators anyway. Therefore, it's written federal level or provincial government should play their part, and the institutes should not only wait for the governments, they should have their own institutional level policies and practices that could help management and the teachers to resolve as many problems and provide equal educational opportunities. A culture of collaborative learning and support would be very, very useful. And this collaborative learning and support is required not at only at the students level, but at the management and teachers level as well, where as a team things could be handled and concluded. In the conclusion, the study highlights the perspective of vocational educators regarding the concept, policies, structure, and system and current practices of inclusive education. It emphasized the need for clear policy and guidelines, adequate resources that are really adequate and suffice the purpose, and the ongoing professional development opportunities to help vocational educators. The findings can be used to inform policy decisions and improve the implementation of IE policies in Pakistan, and further research on the need and implementation of inclusive education in Pakistan should be highly encouraged. Thank you.